You can earn $90,000 a year and feel completely broke. You can earn that same $90,000 and feel untouchable. Same paycheck, same Friday deposit. The difference comes down to one number almost nobody in your life can name out loud. Meet Jace and Logan. Same company, same role, same $90,000 salary. Same overpriced gas station coffee on the drive-in. On paper, you literally could not tell them apart. Then, both of their cars die in the same week. Same shop, same $1,400 repair. Jace taps his card, goes back to scrolling, never thinks about it again. Logan reads the estimate 3 times, feels that little drop in his stomach, and opens his banking app to figure out which bill he can push to next month. Same income, same bill, 2 completely different humans. And what separates them isn't discipline, isn't luck, and it absolutely isn't the salary. It is net worth, a number they've probably never said out loud to each other in their entire friendship. There are 3 specific points on that number line where life quietly stops feeling like a treadmill and starts feeling like something else. I'm Nick, and I've spent an embarrassing amount of time figuring out why 2 people with identical paychecks end up in completely different realities. Hit subscribe, because today we're mapping the 3 thresholds where your relationship with money changes. Fair warning, the third one does something to people almost nobody sees coming. Plenty of folks hit it and stay miserable, and the research finally explains why. Here is the frame. We're obsessed with income, but income is just water running through your hands. Net worth is what is left in the bucket, and the bucket has 3 lines painted inside it. Jace had crossed line 1. Logan hadn't. That is the entire story of the parking lot. Level 1, $100,000, escape velocity. I know. For some of you that sounds impossibly far. For others, almost insulting. Stay with me, because this is the single most important threshold in this video. Charlie Munger, Warren Buffett's late business partner, was once asked about building wealth. His answer's been quoted to death for a reason. Cleaned up for YouTube, the first $100,000 is a BI. But you gotta do it. After that, you can ease off the gas. Why would a billionaire fixate on a number that, to him, was a rounding error? Because the first $100K is the only stretch of this journey where you do basically all the work yourself. Save $10,000 a year at a 7% return. Getting to your first $100K takes roughly 7 to 8 years. The market is barely helping. Almost every dollar in that account is one you personally earned and refuse to spend. It is a slog. Now, watch what happens. $100K to $200K, about 5 years. $200K to $300K, under 4. Going from $500K to a full million takes roughly the same time it took to scrape together that first 100 grand. Except now, you're generating 10 times the wealth in the same window. Same effort. Wildly different output. Why? At $100K invested at 7%, your portfolio throws off about $7,000 a year on its own. That is basically a maxed out IRA contribution, earned by money while you sleep. You spent 8 years pushing the snowball uphill. At $100K, it crests the top. But the real magic isn't the math, it is what it does to your brain. Researchers parked themselves in a New Jersey mall and asked regular shoppers to imagine a car repair. Basically, Jace and Logan's exact scenario. Half got a $150 repair, half got $1,500. Then, everyone took a cognitive test. For wealthier shoppers, no difference. For lower income shoppers, imagining the $1,500 repair, scores dropped nearly a full standard deviation. Same people, same brains. The only thing that changed was 30 seconds of worrying about money they didn't have. The researchers compared the effect to losing a full night of sleep. Picture going through your entire life permanently, a little sleep deprived, Not because you're tired, but because part of your brain is always running a quiet background calculation about whether you can survive an emergency. That is Logan. His brain isn't worse than Jace's. It is taxed. And it is not rare. The Federal Reserve's most recent economic well-being report found about a third of U.S. adults still can't fully cover a $400 emergency with cash. Bankrate's 2026 survey was even blunter. Only 47% of Americans have enough to cover a $1,000 surprise. That is not a discipline problem. It is a cushion problem. $100,000 buys you out of that, not into a yacht, into quiet. Quick honesty check. Are you below this line, sitting on it, or past it? Hold your answer. It'll change how you hear what is coming. Level $2,500, K to $1 million. When your money gets a job, you've hit escape velocity. The static is gone. Now what? Now you enter the strangest stretch of the journey. The climb from $500,000 to $1 million. For the first time in your life, the highest earner in your household might not be a person. At $500 K invested, a 7% return generates roughly $35,000 a year. Sit with that. 35 grand appearing annually, produced by nothing but money you already had. In the ballpark of what a typical full-time American worker brings home. Your portfolio just took a second job. It doesn't call in sick. It doesn't ask for a raise. It doesn't hate Mondays. At a full million, that same 7% throws off about $70,000. Read that again. At $1 million invested, your money out earns the median U.S. individual worker. While you sleep, while you're on vacation, while you're doing literally anything else. This is the level where work optional stops being a beach photo in some guru's ad and becomes a thing you can see on the horizon. And seeing it changes how you carry yourself. It is the meeting where your boss says something genuinely unreasonable, and instead of swallowing it, you realize, calmly, almost surprised by yourself, that you could walk. You won't, not today, but you could. That single shift rewires how you negotiate and how much dignity you'll trade for a paycheck. It shows up smaller, too. You stop pricing every item before it lands in the cart. You book the direct flight. The dishwasher dies, and the whole crisis is over in 4 minutes. None of these are luxuries. They're just friction being subtracted from your week. Reality check. Federal Reserve and Ramsey Solutions estimates put roughly 23% of U.S. households at millionaire status when you include home equity. But CNBC reported in late 2025 that the threshold for the top 10% by net worth has climbed to roughly $1.8 million. Cross $1 million, and you are knocking on the door of the top 10% of an entire country. The problem is, it almost never feels that way. Which brings me to the trap. Lifestyle inflation. Every time your income jumps, your spending drifts up right behind it. Psychologists call it the hedonic treadmill. You get the raise, you get the nicer car, and within a year the nicer car just feels like your car. The thrill evaporates. The payment stays. This is how people earning $300 K still feel broke. Every dollar gets drafted into a bigger mortgage, a leased SUV, and a lifestyle that eats the future to feed the present. Level 2 isn't about earning more. It is about having the nerve to let the gap between what you make and what you spend stay open long enough for compounding to walk through it. Notice the pattern. Level 1 subtracted the fear of the emergency. Level 2 subtracts the fear of being trapped by a single employer. Each level isn't about adding stuff. It is about removing fears. Which brings us to the biggest fear of all. Level 3, $2.5 to $5 million, buying back your time. There is a scene in The Gambler where John Goodman lays out his whole philosophy of money. The goal isn't to be rich. The goal is to hit a specific number, park it somewhere safe, and reach what he crudely calls money. A position where no boss, no bank, No person can make you do anything you don't want to. His number was $2.5 million. And here is what is wild. That wasn't just movie talk. It is built on one of the most tested ideas in personal finance, the 4% rule. Researchers tested decades of market history to answer one question: how much can you pull from a portfolio every year without ever running out? The answer kept landing around 4%, which gives you a shortcut: whatever you spend in a year, multiply by 25. That is your number. Spend $40K. Your number is $1 million, $80K, $2 million. Want to live on $100K a year without ever working another day. About $2.5 million. The screenwriter did the math. Push it to $5 million and you can support a $200K lifestyle, off returns alone. Top 5% of all US households. This is the level I see people get most wrong, because the math finally works, and they assume the meaning will show up automatically. It doesn't. For years, the famous study said happiness flatlines around $75,000. Then, Wharton researcher Matthew Killingsworth tracked over 1 million real-time mood reports and found the opposite. Happiness kept rising right alongside income, no ceiling in sight. So who was right? They literally got in a room and worked it out. For the roughly 80% who are already reasonably content, more money keeps buying more happiness, basically all the way up. But for the unhappy 20%, money relieves their suffering up to about $100K. And then it just stops, because their unhappiness was never really about money. That is the secret hiding inside level 3. The people who get here and stay miserable thought the number was the destination. The people who finally feel different use the number to buy the only thing money can actually purchase that matters: control over their own time, waking up without an alarm, saying yes to the people they love and no to the work they hate. Level 1, bought back a quiet mind. Level 2, bought back options. Level 3, buys back your one finite, non-renewable resource: the hours of your life, from anyone who used to own them. If you're thinking, Nick, I'm not even at level 1, this is depressing, stop. The fact that these levels are rare is the entire reason they're worth chasing. The bar to feel genuinely different isn't infinite wealth. It is a cushion, then a choice, then your time. Almost everyone who quits in the slog right before the snowball crests the hill. You don't have to get smarter. You just have to get stubborn. Income is the speed of the water. Net worth is the size of the bucket. Jace wasn't richer on payday. He was just further along the number line. That is the whole difference. Pick your next level, not the fantasy one, the actual next one. 10 years from now, that money is either quietly working for you the way it works for Jace, or you're working around the lack of it the way Logan is. I know which parking lot I'd rather be in. Quick note, I'm not a financial advisor. None of this is financial advice. Just patterns with real numbers attached. Drop a comment telling me which level you're climbing toward. I actually read them. And if you want the exact moves that get you across that first line fastest, that video's on the screen. Go watch it next. I'll see you in it.